Are you successful and capable, but yet don't feel like you are? Like someone's going to find out, how did she get into that position? She's not competent to do that. Well, it's really common, and it's called imposter syndrome. And the funny thing about it is, those who are the most successful in life tend to suffer from it. Imposter syndrome is not about lack of ability, but it's about this feeling that the successes that you have in life were not actually deserved, that somehow you got lucky to be put into this position, even though the evidence shows on paper that you do deserve to be where you are. You've most likely put in the work, you've gotten the certificates, you've gotten the degrees, you have the experience, and that's why you're in this position. But in your head, you constantly feel like, I'm going to be found out. They're going to realize I'm not as capable as they thought that I was. The interesting thing about imposter syndrome is that it affects those in the population who are most successful and who are doing pretty well in life. Because these are the people who want to keep growing and evolving and who have a very high standard for themselves. And when you're that type of person and you have set these goals for yourself, each goal requires you to do something new. It requires you to step into unknown territory. And of course, even though these people are driven to get to that point, there's still going to be another goal and another goal and another goal. So it's hard for people with imposter syndrome to actually bask in all of the accomplishments that they have acquired to get to where they are in life, because they're constantly thinking, well, I could master this even more. And I haven't mastered it, because that's the next goal, right? There's always more and more and more that could be done. And even the most successful, the most famous, the most highly regarded people in the world suffer from imposter syndrome. So let me give you an example, a real life example of someone who was experiencing imposter syndrome. This happened years ago. It was a gentleman named Neil who was invited to an event, and as he was sort of navigating the room, he bumps into a gentleman who sort of was just standing there with his drink, and the two of them start chatting. And they both had the same first name, so that kind of got the conversation started. So as they were talking, the older gentleman, whose name was Neil, points at the wall in front of them that had many photos, and he says to young Neil, he says, I don't know what the heck my photo's doing up there among these like super successful inventors, creators, pioneers, on and on. And the younger Neil looks at him and says, but you're the first man to walk on the moon. Why would you not be up there? That's exactly what imposter syndrome looks like. Like, you're talking about Neil Armstrong, who clearly had the education, the brain power, the experience for his superiors to say, hey, you're the guy that we're going to send up there to take the first steps onto the moon. That was not relevant to Neil Armstrong. That it was as if like none of that happened. So there you have it. Even the most famous and successful among us suffer from imposter syndrome. Another quick example of how the brain can distort things is Paul McCartney, right? The Beatles album Revolver, which turned out to be a super successful album for them. They had gone into the studio, spent a lot of time on this album. At this point, the album was finally finished. Paul McCartney decides to take a listen to it on his own, and he says, that album is off. It's off key. It's all wrong. We got to get rid of this. He described it as getting a case of the horrors, where like he thought that it was good, but then it turned out it's a complete disaster in reality. He goes back to the bandmates and he tells them, he's like, hey guys, this is not a good album. It's off key. And they're kind of looking at him like, what the heck are you talking about? As some time passed, he realized, oh, okay, actually maybe it is normal. Maybe it does sound okay. And sure enough, they put the album out and it became one of their most successful albums. My point in saying this is that the brain can really twist things to be distorted and not true. And that's why it's so important to fact check those thoughts. So it's not that their work was bad or that your work is bad, But it's that the brain is tricking you into thinking that it's bad. So when your standards are high and you actually care about what you do, the brain naturally scans for flaws. So if imposter syndrome is really a distortion of how we view ourselves, how can we shift that distortion into a more realistic view of what's actually happening around you and how you got to the place that you are? So the first thing to do is separate fact from fiction. Challenge the negative thoughts that come in when you're experiencing the imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough. I'm not qualified to be in this role. I am not capable of fulfilling the duties that come along with being in this role. On and on and on. Fact check it with, how did I get here? What's my experience? What education do I have? What certificates do I have? What is it about me that someone chose me to be in the role that I'm in? Or that I chose to be in the role that I'm in, if you're someone who's self-employed, if you're even taking on parenting for the first time, or whatever it may be. The anxiety and the critic just want to bring you down. Let's push them off the cliff and focus on the real evidence, right? Because that's the reality. You got to where you are for a reason. And a helpful litmus test is to ask yourself, is there anyone else that I could think of at this moment in time who could fulfill this position in the same way that I can? And I guarantee you the answer will probably be no. Number 2, slow down in moving your goalposts. Like slow way down. And try to enjoy the benefits that you have reaped where you are now from all the hard work and determination and blood, sweat, and tears that you've put in to get you to this point. Because otherwise, what's it all about? Just chasing goalposts until the day you die? That's no fun. Like, yeah, to people on the outside, you look like a major success, but what's success without being able to enjoy it? And what's success without feeling happy about things and being able to celebrate things? So celebrate where you are today. Celebrate that you deserve to be where you are today. And this simple reframe can help you to do that. Instead of saying, I have to do this, you can say, I get to do this, right? And that kind of makes things lighter. It makes things more fun, which you deserve. Number 3, embrace discomfort as a sign of growth. Most of us are in the biggest roles of our lives because we're not regressing, we're progressing. So everything is brand new. And the truth is that if you're not a little bit uncomfortable, you're probably not growing. Number 4, commit to improving every day. Just 1%. Do 1% better than you did yesterday and 1% better than you did last week. This reminds me of a coaching client that I worked with who was an attorney. And he talked about when he got out of law school that he felt like a total fraud. He felt that he was not competent to work with real life clients because people's futures are on the line, people's money is on the line, X, Y, and Z. He landed a job in a firm where he met a mentor, an older lawyer who had years of experience. And he asked this lawyer, he said, how did you do it? How did you get to where you are from getting out of school? Like, where did you learn to become a good lawyer? And he said, the older man said to my client, he said, you just fake it till you make it. He said it was as if it was nothing. So that's what this gentleman did. He said, well, I'm just going to fake it till I make it. But what he did was he did it to the best of his abilities. He took all the experience that he had from his schooling and his practice in school. And with every weakness and every flaw that he saw, he did his best to improve upon it. So when he and I were working together, or working on separate issues, he said that because of that, because his continuous improvement on all of these little things that he noticed that he could do better, that he became a really great attorney. There's another example of imposter syndrome in a very successful person whom things worked out just fine for. So when you keep practicing, keep stretching, and you do that consistently, you will not be an imposter for long. So now you are empowered with the knowledge that imposter syndrome is not because you lack ability or not because you lack skills. It's your brain trying to keep you alive by letting you think as negative as possible so that you don't put yourself into a vulnerable position, so that you won't fail and that you won't get hurt. But that's the reptile brain. We don't need that anymore. So say thank you and push it to the side. And now we focus on the facts. What have you done to get you to the position that you are in your life right now? Right? What are all your accomplishments? Those are what you need to be focusing on. And that way you're able to actually acknowledge your capabilities and the skill set that you have that got you to where you are today. So go and enjoy all the accomplishments that you've worked so hard to get in your life. And if you feel like you need some help with working on your imposter syndrome, I offer one-on-one coaching services. You can check out my website in the description below. It'll give you all the information as far as signing up for a discovery session, which is always complimentary, and the services that I offer. I will see you guys in the next one.